Hi, this is Bob Morris, and I want to show you a little bit about this plum tree, and how to prune it, talking a little bit about some of the things that you're going to see in a plum. You can see my Hickok loppers there, 36-inch, and that's because these trees are spaced 10 feet apart, and so the maximum height I can allow them to get to is going to be 10 feet. So I'll prune them at 8 feet. This tree is actually, so next year will be its third year of growth. It's been in the ground only 2 years. And let me show you some of the things that we did. The first year it was planted, we went ahead and put white latex paint on the outside. It's ready for that now, our treatment of it. But the white latex paint helps to raise the temperature, lower the temperature of it when it's in direct sunlight. This side is facing west. You look up here, here are sap bubbles coming from that limb, and that's, I checked it. There are no borers here, but plum is a very sappy tree. If you cut it, you're going to get a lot of sap from it. And this is probably heat damage because it's facing west and it's getting that west afternoon sun. It's better when limbs are lower on the tree and these limbs are kept lower on the tree just to shade it and give it a little bit of relief from that desert, high intensity desert sunlight. So when we look in here, I always tell my students when we do prune that we're always going to start on our knees when we approach the tree, because we're going to be looking at the major scaffold limbs and the support that they're giving. Over here on this side, this is the north side, and because it's the north side, this limb on the bottom here is not going to be very productive because there's just not enough light. If this is on the south side over here, it would be better and I'd leave it, but I'm going to end up removing this. So you always start at the tree itself and look at the structure of the tree. And I want these in the second year, they're entering the third year, about 50% of all my pruning is going to be related to this, improving the structure of the tree, and about 50% is going to be focused on fruit production. So if I look at fruit production in here, what I want to get is a lot of this kind of growth. These are the beginnings of fruiting spurs that will pop out in the this next season. We may or may not see flowers this year on it, but if we look in this tree, there's a lot of sap in it. If we look in this tree, we're going to see fruiting spurs on this plum. This is a pluot, and it's pruned to an open center. So if we look at that tree, stand back and look at it, you can see that the trunk comes up a certain distance, it splits and goes into different scaffold limbs, and that's what those are created the first year. That's the year when it's planted. It's put in the ground, it's cut. Plum, peach is a little more difficult, but on this is cut at around the height of the knee, your knee, and this will then sucker the limbs and form these scaffold limbs to come out from the trunk. And then it's just up for me, it's up to me every year to keep this whole thing and the inside cleaned out. So this is going to come out, and I can't, if it does spur up, let me show you. These are starting to, see them start to spur up here? They're starting to. And I'm trying to show you some spurs, but they're over here too. These are starting to spur up, and that's because it's a good distance away from the end branches. So the first thing I'm going to do is open this center up, take some of this stuff from the inside. I don't want to take too much out of here in the desert because of the high light intensity, and because I don't want the sun to beat it to death and get a lot more sappiness. So I'll just get out my hand pruner here. I'm going to take out this one from the center. That opens the center, see it? See, the light can get straight through here. I'm going to take this one out, and I'm going to leave this small stuff. This one could come out. I'm going to leave a lot of this small stuff on the inside just for shade on the tree, just to reduce the sunlight that's coming in on that tree. But that's what I want to establish on. This happens to be open center. Sometimes plums are pruned into a modified central leader, like this plum over here. This is a modified central leader. See the leader? It's around 5.5 feet tall, and then the top is removed on it. So when I start to prune this tree, it's pruned a little bit differently, because I'm going to look at that central trunk and follow that trunk all the way up, and I want those major scaffold limbs to come off the trunk for the support of the fruit later on. And I want distance here between them so that light can penetrate, and I want them radiating out from the trunk so that I get a good distribution of fruit all through the tree. So hopefully I'll post another one here, and I'll show you some of the cuts that I'm making on this modified central leader on a plum, and this pruned to an open center on the plum. So stay tuned, watch for it, and I'll get back to you and show you some more things on how to prune plums and pluots.